Okay, welcome back. So we are going to talk about the Bumble Beanie, which is a very cute beanie. Very nice pattern. It is actually reversible. Look how cool this is. You have this very nice pattern here and that one as well. This pattern is on Tinkinit's website or Ravelry, their profile on Ravelry as well. Um, it's available there for purchase and download. It's called Bumble. That's it. Let's begin. So something important here, make sure your gauge matches their gauge so the size that you choose. You're going to be able to reach the same size, right? We know how important gauge is. So I'm going to go right ahead and I'm going to cast on according to my size, the size that I chose to work on. So I'll get my smaller needles and I'll cast on. And I'll be joining this in the round. This beanie is worked in the round from bottom to top. So this beanie, you can work in two colors as well. If you were doing that, if you chose to do that, make sure you cast on with your main color, and then later on you'll be able to change it. But just a very important information there. Just cast on with your main color. So I cast on the number of stitches that the pattern tells me to cast on the size that I chose, and I'm just gonna make sure I don't any of my stitches are twisted, and I'm going to get my stitch marker here and I'm gonna join this in the round. So we'll begin by we'll be doing a knit one per one. It's a 1 by 1 ribbing. You want to make sure there's not a lot of space between the first stitch and the last stitch. So I'm going to knit one, give it a tug, and knit one. So I'll be knitting one and purling one. And I'm gonna work this pattern, this 1 by 1 ribbing around, and I almost don't have enough stitches in my needle, on my needle, so it's getting a bit hard to knit here. I'm gonna have to. So you keep going around with the ribbing, and you're gonna work this ribbing for, let me double check here. For the number of inches. Actually, on the pattern, they kind of counted in rounds. So whatever number of rounds they tell you, the pattern tells you to work the ribbing, then you just follow that. Okay, so keep working on the one by one ribbing for as many rounds as the pattern tells you to. And when we come back, we'll change to the larger needles and start the pattern. Okay, so I'm going to pretend that I have enough rounds, just for the purpose of the video here. I'm not gonna knit the whole thing. So right now we are going to. So if you're ready to change to the large needles, we simply, you get your large needles and you start working the pattern. So the pattern here, it's two rounds. First round, you are going to knit one, let me organize my yarn here. So you're going to knit one and slip one. So when you slip one, unless it says otherwise, you are going to slip one purlwise. So like that. And oops. Knit one. And just make sure you don't tension too much, because you're going from a very small size to a very large size of needles. So it might be too tight. Slip one on the first round. Knit one, slip one. Knit one, slip one. And you just do that around until you have passed all the all the stitches to the larger needle. I think it's just easier that way, instead of passing the stitches without knitting them or without working with them. You just pick up the new needle and start working with it. It gets quite tight. So I finished my first round here, and at the same time I also changed to the larger needle. If you lost your stitch marker like I did, just make sure you put that on again. And we're ready to begin the second round, which is simply knit one and purl one. So you will be knitting one and purling the stitch that you have previously slipped. So knit one, purl one, and you keep doing that all around to the end of the round. And that's pretty much the pattern. Those two rounds. On the first round, you knit one and slip one, and on the second round, you knit one and purl one. So you keep working in this manner for as long as the pattern tells you to, for your size specifically. And then you usually measure, if you're not aware of that, if you're a beginner, usually measure, if it tells you, let's say, work for 4 inches, you measure from the cast on. And then you measure from this one up, right? So you keep working. And on the next video, we'll work on the cross shaping, the decreases. So just something important here, When you get to your measurement, just make sure you end up on around 1 before you start the decrease.